What's up, monster lovers, and welcome to another episode of Shock and Awe Toy Reviews. 2, sometimes 3 idiots, a camera, and a review. I am one of your hosts, Wilson. Sitting to my left is the bearded thunder himself,
Mr. Berg.
And to my right is a special guest commentator.
Color commentator,
man with great hair, Kevin. Say hello, Kevin.
Hi.
And in this review, we are gonna shit all over this toy. I'm just telling you right now, it's gonna get good. What are we reviewing?
We are reviewing Bandai Japan's Pacific Rim Uprising Sofvi Spirits Raijin.
You know, now that I look at him, I call him like double vagina mouth with teeth.
Or just teeth.
Starting off, as we usually do, with paint. That is the one major plus with this guy, I will say, is as with most Bandai products, that he has really good sculpting and paint, especially you can see the glowing effect in his eyes here. You've seen the movie, right?
Yes.
You've seen the movie.
Yes.
And I believe they actually glowed in the movie and in his mouth, correct? Anyone correct me if I'm wrong?
Let's go with yes.
Okay. You can see the blue on the back and all of this stuff and his tail. Visually, I think he looks good.
We're looking at his least interesting side right now.
I disagree on the paint.
Really?
I find it a slight step above the new Jurassic Park toys.
Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Why?
As Kevin just pointed out, there is no paint.
That's true. The sculpting on here is mainly what I was
There's some really nice sculpting. There's some light weathering up here. Probably doesn't come up too well in the camera because I'm looking right at it and I don't see it very well. But there is not a lick of paint
on his ass.
His entire tail down. And there is some really nice sculpted detail that had they put some highlights and shadows on there, really would have made it pop. The glowing green just seems to stop. I would think that it would actually go around the entire arm. I can't confirm that, as in I haven't seen the back of this guy's shoulder, but it looks really weird that it just kind of stops.
Well, that's how it was in the movie. I clearly don't remember. Right, Kevin? Can someone ever back me up on these fucking things?
Also,
just lie.
On his face or his head tongue, it's just red paint. It also really needs a wash just to make it stand out.
So you find it bland?
I find it very suspect for a Bandai toy based off of the crap, I can't remember who we reviewed.
Oh, the guy with the mace.
Yeah, based off of the paint on that guy, hearing that this was Bandai Japan, I expected more. I will also say I find the sculpt a little bit weak. There's nice sculpted detail, but like I can show you the Jurassic Park dinosaur that might happen to be right next to me, and he has just as good, if not better, sculpting in the wrinkles of his neck than anything on this guy.
Oh, God, you're making me hate this fucking thing even more.
You're welcome.
I mostly like the paint. I'm not going to disagree that it could use more in places.
Yeah.
But I think what is there is nice to look at.
I mean, what about like this area in here? How this is like a green.
From 3/4 of him,
yeah.
He looks great. It's the back that's missing all the paint.
Like you see here in his leg, how that's a different shade than.
There's some paint on the inner thigh, and there's a little weathering here. There is some weathering. There is a lot of paint on this guy.
Yeah.
I also like how the nails are a shiny texture versus the more leathery skin.
As we all know, Bandai Japan likes to give you highly articulated toys, unless you buy this fucking guy. There's amazing 6 points of articulation. He can put his hands up. He can put his hands down. He can kind of turn his wrist, but there's this piece here that doesn't really let you turn it all the way around.
But he wouldn't need to turn his hand all the way around.
And if he wants to cup some balls, yes, he would.
But that would naturally, like in real life, he couldn't.
He couldn't do that.
Not with his giant bone protrusion.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but I've gotten it so you could. Because I didn't care if I broke this piece of shit. As for awesome leg movement, you have backwards and forwards.
There's essentially 6 cut joints.
Yes, there's no tail, although there looks like a tail cut here.
It's just a separate piece, but it's glued on.
And there's no head, there's no jaw, there's no ankle, anything. So basically, what you're looking at, here's one pose. Here's another pose. Here's another pose you can get. And probably the last pose, minus a few of the different looking things. I rarely get angry at toys.
Rarely.
What other toy have I gotten mad at?
Predator, Omega Supreme.
Oh, DX9?
Yeah.
All right, I get mad at toys all the fucking time, and this was just another one. As for accessories, nada, zero, absolutely nothing. So that was easy. So for some size comparison, here are some other toys.
So we have Marvel Legends Dr. Loki. This is Jurassic Park.
Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, some kind of something, him.
And then DX9's Honkapoo.
Shuttle.
He's about 7 inches tall.
Yeah.
He would be a small Voyager for our Transformer friends.
Yeah.
This is how he scales with things you might actually,
Put with
sane people might put with him. This is a NECA Jaeger
from the first movie.
Crimson Typhoon.
Yeah.
And that is...
Bracer Phoenix. My recollection from both movies is that the monsters were huge.
This is a Category 6 kaiju.
I don't know what that means.
A bad one. They get worse. The higher the number, the worse they are.
Okay. So if I had a Category 1 toy, does that mean I'd have like 25 points of articulation?
No. If you had a Category 10 toy,
Yeah.
you would have this.
Okay. 1 foot test here. Can he pass it without using his tail?
Oh, without the tail? Yeah, no.
No, there's no way to get him in a position where he can't use the tail.
Tripod test.
There you go. We'll argue that that's a tripod, much like a past episode. Bottom line, what do we think of this? Smart viewers will probably already know what I think, but we're going to let the guests go first. Kevin.
I would actually give him, surprisingly, 2 out of 5 hammers. Primarily for paint. General aesthetics, I'm going to move him. Like prick! Because so many of my toys just get set up on a shelf and don't get played with, like on the floor, I think he looks okay. Like, even if you bring in the robot, I think he's too small. But as just like a standalone piece,
Yeah.
I think he looks okay. He's just not much fun to play with, which works for me. So I'd give him a 2.
Okay, so you're the kind of guy that just kind of puts the toys on the shelf. Do you ever change the way they look or
I
anything
generally
like that?
play with them day one. I set them up on a shelf, and then it changed periodically.
Yeah. That's kind of what I do. Maybe a little more extensive.
I got an addendum. I would pay half the price. So if you could get him on clearance somewhere,
yeah, sure.
assuming he doesn't sell well,
Yeah.
and around like Black Friday, if you can get him cheap, I'd recommend it.
I give this motherfucker a 1.5. That's being generous because I like the look of him. I think the paint's generally good, and I really do like the blue highlights in his mouth and eyes and everything like that. I'm so upset his articulation is goddamn horrible. These Jurassic Park toys have more articulation than he does. And for the price, you are not getting what you paid for. He's a disappointment. I recommend not buying him. Like Kevin said, maybe if he's on clearance, yeah, maybe, but still, I don't think he's worth it. I recommend waiting for any other Diamond Select versions to come out, and they will go well, I believe, with your Diamond Select robots, and probably just as well with your Bandai robot. Hasbro had to have something to do with this. I literally feel so stupid for buying this thing. I know I'm stupid and I have to deal with that on a daily basis, but this is one of those things where it's like, I realize, like, no, you really are like a couple IQs above retarded. I learned a hard lesson that I'll probably forget later on.
I don't know how to follow that. If I were to rate this as what it's supposed to be, it's a 4 out of 5 hammers. Because it is not supposed to be an articulated figure. It is supposed to be a vinyl. You don't move this, you display it piece. It would be a 5 if it had better paint. But as an action figure toy to fight your guy, it's a 1. So I'm going to give it a 3. The soft Sofvi toys are not meant to be toys.
They're just meant to be display pieces.
It's a vinyl toy. It's not.
So why would they bother releasing that as like you need something for the other things to fight? Why wouldn't you have them release?
Because if you watch Pacific Rim 2, there are more robot on robot violence than there is robot on kaiju, which is why I didn't like it.
Okay, fine, but I still want a monster to fight.
Well, then you should have been paying attention when NECA put out the amazing figures 5 years ago that now go for hundreds, if not more, on eBay and the Amazon. This is a weak painted vinyl toy. If you do any little type of reading, they have their one line that's all super articulated robots.
Yeah.
And then they have, this is our soft Sofvi line. This is the first in it. And none of them have articulation. They're all described the same as you would a vinyl toy with 0 articulation points. So the fact that he actually has articulation points confounds me. I think it's mainly just because they made 6 pieces and they stopped gluing after the first piece.
So is that what soft Sofvi means?
I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing.
See, I thought Sofvi was part of the name of the monster.
No, that soft Sofvi is the line of Bandai's
Shows what
kaiju.
the fuck I know. See, that's
2 out of 3 of us just learned something.
oh, so you didn't know that either. Okay.
You literally just have to look at the listing on Big Bag Toy Store, and they call them soft Sofvi this guy, soft Sofvi this guy.
Right, but there's like this guy. That's not how he starts off with the vagina face. He starts off with this closed, and then doesn't he change into this?
But all you have to do is read 2 listings, and you see that they're all called Pacific Rim Uprising Soft Sofvi Raijin, Pacific Rim Soft Soji Bebop, Pacific Rim Soft Soji Rocksteady. And you go, oh, Soft Sofvi is the name of the line. It's like reading Power of the Primes and going, why is Power of the Primes / not a prime?
Well, they are. The little guys are all primes. So when
/ the Dinobot is not a prime.
Sure she is.
Oh my god.
That's been it for this episode of Shock and Not Toy Reviews. Thank you for watching. Please let us know your thoughts if you have any on this. Keep it civil.
Would you pay us not to put up stuff?
Or would you pay to hear my story about the DX9 Omega Supreme?
I would not.
You can find all the social media in the show notes. Kevin, thank you for joining us once again. You're a fantastic man and reviewer, I must say. You remind me of the mage.
What?
Bye.